Hello YouTubers, so here we are with another vent video update. Not very much this time, but let's start with the most obvious one. This down here is a Price 2-cone vent. It's made in Canada, which I believe it's a Canadian company. 12 by 12, I know the 24 by 24 versions of this are very popular. I seldomly see the 24 or the 12 by 12 versions of these as a very few places around here. Just like the way these things look. I don't know, just the way that they stamp these is very interesting. Now they do make a single cone model, which I call the fancy vents. The ones with that single flat cone. This one's 2-cone. The cones are detachable, believe it or not, which is nice. You just push these plastic levers down, and the cones come out, which is nice to clean like every once in a while, because some of these things can get very dirty, especially if they're in a restaurant environment. See these things get all plugged up with greasy dust and all that, and they're a nightmare to clean. So there's that. And I'm going to start with the 6x6 here. These two came from the same place, but now this one came from my uncle's old house. His former house. Now he moved to a new house, but it was unexpected. It happened so fast. He just decided, I'm going to sell this house. But he wanted to do repair, and I felt bad, so I helped him do a bunch of like painting and other minor repairs. And in the master bathroom, we completely repainted it and changed fixtures out. And this was one of the things that got changed because it was kind of dingy looking and whatnot. Now, I don't know who makes this one. It's not True Air. It's probably HVAC Premium for all I know. But this looks like it was installed within the last 15 years or so. Because the previous owners of that house definitely re-renovated that house before he purchased that house. And that was in 2015. 2016. According to date codes, the fixtures that I also removed and replaced with new stuff. So there's that. And then there's this, also from the same place. This came from the master bedroom. Now, this one's a really old school one. This one is a 12 by 6 or 6 by 12. And this one's interesting. And these are very common in a lot of old houses in this area. I believe this one's from 1971, because this is definitely original to that house. It was really one of the last original ones that remained standing until they got replaced. But as you can see, you can like direct air in all kinds of directions as you wish. And this one, believe it or not, for how old it is not all covered in layers of paint. It's actually the original paint. So there's two versions of these, and they are very common, like I mentioned. There's the white one, which obviously is this one, and then there's the gray ones. And they all have the same handles and whatnot. There's the shutters in the back. And for sure, the quality on this is real good because it's like really heavy. It's made of really thick steel. It's not really rusty either, which is amazing. Maybe a few little rusty spots like that, but other than that, this is in really good shape for its age. Couldn't toss this, so I saved it and added to the collection. And we'll get this one out of the way. Now, this guy here, along with these other ones here, including that back there, this one all came from an estate sale last week. And I believe I paid only like 35 bucks for all of this, which is cheap. Now this I came across in the garage. Now there was a website called estatesales.net. Sometimes I browse on there to see what upcoming estate sales there were that week. And this, I noticed I was browsing through one of the upcoming sales, and I noticed this sitting on a dresser in a basket. And I'm like, oh, I have to grab this, because these, believe it or not, the True Air versions of these are getting harder to find. And I think this one's made by True Air. It's early, I can tell, because the handle's different and the paint's very glossy. And the reason I say it's like early 2000s to mid 90s is because a lot of these vents back then used this foam, which nowadays I notice a lot of these manufacturers don't put this foam on these anymore. And the Everbuilt versions of these, aka the rebranded True Airs that Home Depot sell, these are non-existent now. They're like gone, at least in my area. So there's a 6x6, the two-way. So let's get to this guy here. This one also came from that same estate sale. This one is a 20x20 filter return that actually fits into a 24x24 ceiling tile grid system. As you can tell, it's got this really thick border. This is meant to lay into a ceiling tile grid. And you could put filters in there that are 20x20. And it has these little levers here that you could open and close. This is made of all steel. There's the middle little support there. That's what it looks like. And this one you could actually detach from the frame, unlike True Airs, where these things are permanently riveted to the frame, which is annoying when it comes time to clean these. Especially if they're like in a very, very messy environment, such as a restaurant where the grease builds up on these things. They get really bad. And it looks disgusting and whatnot. And you have to put like 10 pounds of degreaser to clean all that grease and stuff off. I've seen how bad these things can get. So there's this guy. We'll get to that in a second. Here's the filter, another filter return. This one, the outer frame is 22x22, but it also accepts 20x20 filters. This one's all aluminum. Uses these middle little clips or whatever you want to call them to keep the filter door closed, or the grill assembly in place. Try to open it. There we go. It's got two middle dividers to stop the air turbulence. And believe it or not, these don't ring. Well, this will rouse a little bit, but there's no ringing that cause the ringing sound when air turbulence happens or takes place on these type of filter returns. There's a frame inside, 20x20. There's this guy. And this one's meant to be screwed to the ceiling. Now I have two of these, but the other one lives in the other room, and I actually spray painted the other one white because I replaced this guy that's been in the other room for a couple of years now with this guy. And the reason for the two vents in the other room, one of them is obviously the supply, and then the other one's like a jumper duct return that's meant to circulate the air around. That's how they've been building the homes here, at least in Arizona, for the last, I don't know, 20 years. And this one is a 12x12 egg crate vent. It originally had shutters, but the shutters are all messed up and very bad shape, so I just removed it entirely. Now, interestingly enough, this egg crate here is made of aluminum, and it is easy to bend one of these things. So you gotta be careful if you get one of these. It's easy to mess up the egg crates. As you can see, there's that right there. Now I know these ones are very popular because, as for returns, because these things don't make ringing sounds and whatnot, and the air just is the air just smoothly goes through this thing without causing any ringing sounds and whatnot. Compared to this, where it rings. And there, and last but not least, there's another one of those Shoemaker 12x12s. Then I have two of these. There's two more I have, which I covered in a very earlier video. There's that. Now apparently, and I've been looking at, I forget what company it is, but there's Shoemaker and there's another company that make these. They make this all the way up to 20x20. A supply. They make a 16x6. There's a 14x14, a 16x16, and a 20x20 supply version of these. Believe it or not. It has like two shutter handles and whatnot. So yeah, that is it for the vent collection I have here for 2024.